Hey, it's Bond. Let's talk about Mass Effect and Dreadwolf. So, due to my strike situation, which you can learn more about if you check out my other video, I was not able to make a video right when this Dreadwolf news about Mark Darrah and the Mass Effect team came out. So, if you are late to the party, or if you just happen to be catching my video now, here's what's going on. So I'm recording this on Tuesday, March 28th. So yesterday, on Monday, the 27th, it was announced that Dreadwolf will become working with Mark Darrah, who left BioWare back in 2020 and has been running his own YouTube channel about game development ever since. They've contracted him to come in and consult on the Dragon Age Dreadwolf game. They also stated that the Mass Effect team will be helping them finish the game out as well. Now, there's been a bunch of quotes and statements and stuff from various people in BioWare and EA. What it's basically come down to me, is that it seems like they are, circling the wagons is one of the expressions I would use here. They are bringing in someone who knows how to finish games in Darrah. They're bringing in probably some kind of frontline technical support from Mass Effect. I'll talk about that in a moment. And it seems like my guess is that they are trying to push Dreadwolf out in 2023. It gets kind of spicy towards the end of the year. I'm really curious if they're going to try to release this game at the same time or in the same window as like Final Fantasy, Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3. There are a bunch of games coming this year that would be in the same category. And so it makes you wonder if they would try to face up with them head on. I think that maybe the holiday time frame for Dreadwolf would probably work. There also comes the argument that there's so many games coming out now, and release windows have just basically gone away, and games get released all year long now. I feel like if you wait for an opening, you're just never going to release your game. So I have been saying for a while, and I really believe, especially after this development, that they are trying to push Dreadwolf out in 2023. I'm at the point now where I would guess October, November, December is when we're going to get that game. I think in June, there will be an EA Play event or a Dragon Age Dreadwolf specific event where they are going to announce the release date, which again, I'm expecting to be at the end of the year. And that's what's going to happen. So with the Mark Darrah thing, it's interesting that he is on and consulting for them to finish up this game. He actually did a video late last year, after the Dreadwolf team announced that they had hit alpha and the game was playable from beginning to end. He basically said that he thought the game could be out as soon as 6 months later, which is around this time. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But he seemed more into the idea of Dreadwolf coming out late in 2023. He basically had talked about how Dragon Age Inquisition went from alpha to release in 6 months. He seemed to insinuate, or others would say, that was probably too quick with some of the issues that Inquisition had and still has. So it seemed that there was the idea that they will probably take longer with this, but that once a game hits alpha, it's getting close to being done, to the point where one of the statements from, I believe, the head of BioWare stated that they are in post-production. And so that's a pretty big statement. So production is the idea of they're building the game. You're finishing, you're making the game in production. And to say that the game is in post-production, in other statements that we've seen about the situation, implies that the game is just basically getting cleaned up, which is great. That's really exciting. And that lends itself to a 2023 release. I would honestly say that it almost seems like they're talking about a game that comes out much sooner than October, November, December. But I think just bringing on Darrah now, I think just bringing on the Mass Effect team now means that maybe they aren't quite ready for this summer, and it's probably going to be this winter. The final thing I'll talk about is them bringing on the Mass Effect team. I know for people like me, and I'm sure Mass Effect fans, people who have been following the development and the teases of the next game, that might be a concerning thing to see them pulling people off that project. I don't think there's any reason to fret yet. I think that they are more than likely splitting time with leadership to kind of help steer this thing in to port. It's kind of interesting that, especially if they've hired people for Mass Effect, which we know they have, all indications are that Mass Effect is going to use Unreal Engine 5. Dreadwolf is using Frostbite. And so I'm curious. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people have experience in game development as game development, right? So, I'm sure that they can, use their skills even if they're not super familiar with the engine, and if they came on for a different reason. But my guess is that this is mostly procedural and just trying to give a little extra support. You have to remember that Dreadwolf has the bulk of BioWare's development and production meat, right? We even in these statements, they talk about, I believe, Mass Effect still being in pre-production, so they haven't taken on all of the frontline workers yet that have been working on Dreadwolf, whether it's people who are doing environmental design, character design, animation, sound, all of that stuff. All the bulk of that force still seems to be on Dreadwolf. I can't imagine the Dragon or the Mass Effect team can really help with that, but what I assume they can help with is leadership and direction and finishing, which is what I expect that they're doing. So I know I've seen a lot of people kind of crying wolf and kind of freaking out and being pessimistic about this in general. I understand why old school BioWare fans are, feel like they're going, oh, here we go again. And maybe they are, maybe they're right. I choose to be optimistic. I choose to not buy into that quite yet. And I think that this isn't as big of a deal as you think. I think this actually happens a lot more than maybe we know. I think they just aren't always as transparent about it. I know, like with Ubisoft, when most of their games before release, people from other studios are involved, if they aren't the whole time. I have to imagine that at EA, this is fairly normal. We have heard of people being pulled off projects, I believe at like Respawn and things like that, to help with other things. I suspect this is a fairly normal procedure that we often just aren't privy to. So I'm not willing to panic yet. I am curious about Dreadwolf. I am hopeful for Mass Effect. And I'm hoping that these decisions they're making and the transparency they're having about them just leads to better games from BioWare overall, for Mass Effect and Dragon Age. So there's what I think about it. Down in the comments, let me know what you think. I am curious to your take. Let me know if you like the video by hitting the like button, and if you want more videos about Dragon Age, Mass Effect, gaming in general, including my weekly gaming news podcast, the EchoCast, please subscribe to the channel. But that's really all I have for this one. So until next time.